not everybody can be winners at the NFL Combine. Sometimes the big stage and the pressure of the event gets to these players and they just have a bad outing. That doesn't mean they don't have a future in the NFL or that their careers are over, but it could end up benefiting teams like the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are known as a team who are willing to take a chance on players who have seen their draft stock take a hit for some reason or another. They will take a chance on talent regardless of background if they believe that particular player can help their team. That's why today I decided to put together a list of some of the losers from this year's NFL Combine. Let's take a look. Defensive candidates: Florida Ja'Kai Polite, Joejuan Williams, CB, Vanderbilt. Entering the NFL Combine, Joejuan Williams was one of the hotter names in this year's cornerback draft class. Teams were intrigued with his size, 6 feet 4 inches, 211, but had questions about his athletic ability and the technical issues he showed on tape. Unfortunately for him, his performance didn't do him any favors, particularly his 4.64 40-yard dash. It's not a terrible time for a CB his size, but not great either. This of course could be good news for the Dallas Cowboys because we all know Chris Richard loves those tall lengthy corners. Ja'Kai Polite, Florida. I don't know if I've ever heard of a player's NFL Combine going any worse than what Ja'Kai Polite did. There are multiple reports that he was terrible in interviews, and a lot of the scouts on hand said his decision to pull himself out of several events due to a hamstring injury he faked was bullshit. He was supposed to be one of the more explosive edge rushers in this draft class, but his 4.84 40-yard dash and 1.71 10-yard split suggests otherwise. His draft stock is supposedly tumbling and several teams have reportedly taken him off their board altogether. If he were to fall all the way to the Dallas Cowboys in the second round, he'd be hard to pass up. Dre'Mont Jones, DT, Ohio State. How Dre'Mont Jones performed at the NFL Combine was supposed to solidify him as one of the better undersized defensive tackles in the 2019 draft class. Unfortunately for him, all it did was raise more concerns about his past play and his future in the league. At 281 pounds, Jones' game is supposed to be predicated on his quickness. The numbers he put up in the different events were surprisingly pretty pedestrian, which will probably cause him to slip in the draft. This could be good news for the Dallas Cowboys, who need help at the 3 technique. Now they may be able to get him a few rounds later instead of in the second round where he was projected. Offensive candidates: Georgia, RB, Elijah Holyfield, RB, Georgia. No one expected Elijah Holyfield to blow people away with his speed at the NFL Combine, but no one really expected him to run an embarrassing 4.78 40-yard dash either. To make matters worse, his 30 inches vertical jump and 9 feet 6 inches broad jump were pretty pedestrian for a running back as well. The numbers are concerning in more ways than one considering how good his tape is, but it could help him slide right into the Dallas Cowboys' lap in the mid-round range. He has a chance to redeem himself at his pro day, but for now his poor performance at the Combine could make him an intriguing option as Zeke's backup. Riley Ridley, WR, Georgia. The bad luck for Georgia players continued with Riley Ridley and the way he performed at the NFL Combine. Unfortunately for him, he tested like an average to below average athlete in nearly all of the events, but it was his embarrassing 4.58 40-yard dash that raised eyebrows. He is still likely a day 2 prospect, but he wasn't supposed to be on the board for the Dallas Cowboys at 58 before the Combine. The Cowboys could be in the market for a receiver that can play both in the slot and on the outside, and Ridley is someone capable of doing just that. Isaac Nauta, Georgia. I promise you I'm not picking on Georgia players purposely, but it seems like nearly all of their skill players had a poor performance at the NFL Combine. Isaac Nauta was supposed to be in that next tier of tight end prospects behind Noah Fant, J. Hawkinson, and Irv Smith, but with the way he tested it could cause him to slide a little further. There were no questions about his ability as a blocker translating into the NFL, but there were concerns about his athleticism and pass-catching ability. His 4.91 40-yard dash was a huge fail, and unfortunately he finished as one of the worst tape performers in the other events as well. If the Cowboys still like him though, they could get him at a discounted price. 2019 NFL Combine. 2019 NFL Draft. Dallas Cowboys. The 2019 NFL Combine has come and gone, which means it's time to take another stab at predicting who the Dallas Cowboys could possibly take in the 2019 NFL Draft with each of their 6 draft picks. Surprisingly, things have changed significantly in just over a week from my 7-round pre-combine mock draft for the Cowboys, but I did have one holdover. For this exercise I used Draft Network's mock draft machine to keep things as realistic as possible, and I can honestly say I couldn't be happier with the way things turned out. But don't take my word for it, take a look for yourself and let me know what you think. Let's get started. R2 26th stall, Chase Winovich, the Michigan R3 26th stall, Mecole Hardman, WR, Georgia R4 26th stall, Colin Saunders, DT, Western Illinois R4 34th stall, Foster Moreau, TAFE, LSU R5 27th stall, Isaiah Johnson, CB, Houston R7 27th stall, Bruce Anderson, RB, North Dakota State. The 2019 NFL Combine has come and gone, but that doesn't mean we are done talking about it. It's one of the more exciting events to take place in the off-season, causing teams and fans alike to tune in across the country to watch these prospects perform in different athletic events. It's no different for the Dallas Cowboys. Today, I want to share with you some of the players who may be on the Dallas Cowboys' radar now after performing well at the NFL Combine. I decided to split it up into offensive and defensive candidates, and chose 3 players who I think may have caught the Cowboys' attention. Let's get started. Defensive candidates. Michigan, the Chase Winovich. Chase Winovich, the Michigan. Chase Winovich didn't blow up the NFL Combine like fellow defensive end Montez Sweat, but he caught the attention of quite a few people with his performance. He tested well in all of the events, particularly the 40-yard dash 4.59, with an impressive 1.63 10-yard split. This is a guy who could step in and be a day-one starter with the Dallas Cowboys as a Randy Gregory replacement and someone Rod Marinelli would love to work with. He is intense and has a non-stop motor. He's definitely in the running at 58 for the Cowboys. Juan Thornhill, Virginia. Juan Thornhill's performance at the NFL Combine may have put himself out of contention for the Dallas Cowboys when they are finally on the clock at 58, but if available he'd definitely be hard to pass up. He put up some jaw-dropping numbers on the vertical jump, 44 inches, and the broad jump, 11 feet 9 inches, but really caught everybody's attention with his 4.43 40-yard dash. The Cowboys haven't been shy about letting it be known they want to upgrade the safety position, and Thornhill would absolutely make a good pairing with Xavier Woods on the back end of their defense. Tristan Hill, DT, Central Florida. I could have went with a number of defensive linemen here, but Tristan Hill kind of came out of nowhere and really caught my attention. He lost his starting job at Central Florida last year when a new coaching staff came in and took over, but he is exactly the type of relentless, high-motor defensive tackle Rod Marinelli likes in his defensive front. He put up some elite numbers in the broad jump, 115, and the vertical jump, 35 inches, and his short shuttle time was also pretty exceptional, 4.38. Look for him to be a potential third-round target for the Cowboys. Offensive candidates. Oklahoma State, RB, Justice Hill, RB, Oklahoma State. It wasn't that big of a surprise Justice Hill performed well at the NFL Combine in my opinion. I think he just confirmed to everybody what we all saw on tape. His 4.4 40-yard dash, 10 feet 10 inches broad jump, and 21 reps of 225 on the bench press at 198 pounds were all pretty impressive. He's exactly the kind of change of pace RB Cowboys Nation has been wanting behind Ezekiel Elliott. I on the other hand was actually more impressed with Reichwell Armstead Temple, and the performance he put on. His 4.45 40-yard dash at 220 was impressive. I personally prefer more of an every-down back behind Zeke, but both Hill and Armstead are good mid-round RB targets for the Cowboys. Mecole Hardman, WR, Georgia. Mecole Hardman's NFL Combine performance kind of flew under the radar due to the show the K. Metcalf put on, but he was impressive in his own right. He didn't compete in all of the events, but his 4.33 40-yard dash, 36.5 vertical, 119 broad jump, and the 17 reps at 225 he put up on bench press were impressive for a 5 feet 10 inches, 187-pound wide receiver. He is personally one of my favorite WR targets for the Dallas Cowboys because of the variety of roles he can fill. He is the deep threat, gadget player, return specialist, and Cole Beasley replacement player they need. Foster Moreau, take LSU. I was actually on the Foster Moreau hype train before he put on a pretty impressive performance at the NFL Combine, so I was pretty happy to see him perform as well as he did. He was viewed as mostly a blocking tight end due to the way he was utilized during his time at LSU, but he opened a lot of eyes with his surprising athletic ability. His blend of size, speed, and explosiveness at 253 pounds is exciting. In fact, he is as close to a carbon copy of Jason Witten on paper as you can get and would be an intriguing mid to late tight end target for the Dallas Cowboys. Foster Moreau isn't a name many of you are very familiar with and definitely isn't one of the high-profile prospects in the 2019 draft class, but he might be someone Cowboys Nation should get to know. He's still a little underrated amongst the tight ends this year, although that may not be for much longer. I'm personally a fan of Foster Moreau and was really hoping he'd remain under the radar so that the Dallas Cowboys could snatch him up later in the draft. Unfortunately, his performance at the NFL Combine improved his draft stock and he is a hidden gem no longer. It may come to a surprise to you, but I believe the former LSU Tiger has very similar intangibles to someone we Cowboys fans are pretty familiar with. No doubt you've already guessed who I'm talking about, but Foster Moreau compares favorably to future Hall of Famer Jason Witten. I know it's a little unfair to compare anybody to Witten, but it's a little eerie how similar Moreau is to the all-time great Tay in more ways than one. Let's take a look. Jason Witten HTWT arm length hand size 40-yard dash 10-yard split 20-yard split 20 SS 3 cone vert jump broad jump bench 6, 5 3/4 264 pounds 32.5 9 7/8 4.65 S 31 inches 9 feet 2 and 25 reps Foster Moreau HTWT arm length hand size 40-yard dash 10-yard split 20-yard split 20 SS 3 cone vert jump broad jump bench 6 feet 4 inches 253 pounds 33.5 9 5/8 4.66 S 4.11 S 7.16 S 36.5 121.22 reps. As you can see, Foster Moreau could be a carbon copy of Jason Witten when he was coming out of Tennessee back in 2002. They are nearly identical in size and weight, and also performed eerily similar to one another in their pre-draft workouts. Surprisingly though, Moreau actually looks like he might be a little bit better of an athlete than Witten based on his vertical and broad jump. Both of those tests are designed to help measure explosiveness, and shockingly Moreau bested Witten pretty easily. Of course, we all know that measuring up and testing similar doesn't count for much. It takes a lot more to be successful in the NFL than what shows on paper. It's those kind of unmeasurable intangibles that has really made Jason Witten so great for so long. But I actually think Foster Moreau stacks up similar to Witten in those areas as well. Witten has been described as a blue-collar player throughout his career. He goes about his work without much fanfare and doesn't mind doing the dirty work either. That description fits Moreau to a T as well. During his time at LSU he was mostly used as a blocking Tay. In his 2 years as a full-time starter he never had more than 30 catches for more than 300 yards receiving. He just went about his job without complaining or being involved much, which is one of the reasons why he's still a little underrated in this year's draft class. Like Witten was described when he was coming out of Tennessee, Moreau doesn't show a lot of separation ability in the passing game on film. This is an area No. 82 had to work on, and it paid off. He turned into one of the more prolific pass-catching TEs to ever play the game, and there's no reason to believe Moreau couldn't find similar success. I know it's a stretch to think Foster Moreau is anything like Jason Witten, but based on their measurements and intangibles, it's not completely impossible. As a mid to late round draft pick, I'd be willing to take a chance on someone who looks like a carbon copy to Witten if I were the Dallas Cowboys. Who knows, it might just pay off.